to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall, psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Isn't it getting exciting? Can't you feel that the magic in the air and Santa's coming and the children are sort of starting to become wide-eyed and trying to be on their best behaviour because after all, Santa is watching. Even us adults, Santa is watching. So we all need to be on our best behaviour. And I think the most important thing that we can do is be kind to each other. Give somebody a smile during this very busy festive season. It might be the only smile they get all day, and it might be just enough to lighten their heart. There's a lot of sad people in the world at this time of the year too, so it's our responsibility to try and bring a little bit of joy to the world. So this week, the Simply Tarot card of the week is the Two of Wands. Now, the Two of Wands represents the card of short journeys, movement to or near water. Now, at this time of the year, many of us are darting here, there and everywhere and taking a lot of short journeys, even if it is only to the shops and stock up the refrigerator and the cupboards ready for the onslaught of guests that we're going to have over the coming weeks. And for many of us, it's a very busy time. The secondary meaning of this card is holding the world in the palm of your hand and being able to sort of look out at all your horizons or looking out at your kingdom, surveying what you might have ahead of you. And it's that time of the year where many people, during the busyness, for some reason or another, we start to reevaluate our lives. We start to look at what we've achieved this year, what we hope to achieve, what we can put off till next year. And is it time for a change? Is it time for a new beginning? And I know a lot of people get restless at this time of the year and start questioning about whether or not they're in the right job. Is it time for a change? Do I need to be looking at doing something new? Do I need to bring more work-life balance into my life? We all got into that catchphrase during COVID of work-life balance, and many of us made radical changes during that time that have become law in our lives now, where family and spending time with loved ones and not commuting so much and things like that are much, much more important than all chasing the almighty dollar and the bigger house and the bigger car and the trips overseas. We've reevaluated our lives. And sometimes I look at this card and I think that's what it's about too, is sort of having a little quick glimpse around your own kingdom to see what it is that you need to sort of be achieving. Are you happy with where you are? Are you achieving what you hope to achieve? Or is it time to take stock and make some changes and some new directions in the coming new year? It's a very busy time for all of us, but it's a very positive time as well. So this week astrologically, it's always a big week astrologically here, I think I say every week, but this week sort of seems to be a little bit on the calmer side, which is nice. We have Mars, the planet of action, conjunct or holding hands the sun in Sagittarius. So this means it is a busy time, everybody running hither and dither, and particularly for fire signs. So that's Sagittarius, Aries and Leo, and the opposite sign of Gemini. I have lots and lots of Sagittarian clients, and I'm a Saggy myself. And I know at this time of the year, besides it being our time of the year, it is always a busy time. But this year, I think it's even busier for the fire signs, where they really are focusing on what the next step is. Is there changes that need to be happening in their lives? Is it time to get up off the couch and make your dreams a reality? For many people, they already have these things in full swing. For others, they're just waiting for the opportunities to sort of, knock on the door. They've put the groundwork in, and now it's a time of just sit back, wait and see, and get on with other areas of your life. Whatever it might be, it is going to be a high energy period of time. It's going to be a time where you need to be careful that you don't burn yourself out, that you do need to pace yourself. It's good to be busy. It's good to have lots of things in the diary to do or in the planner, but you also need to take some time to stop and breathe and just sort of chill out. One of my favourite things I like to do at this time of the year when it is incredibly busy is I like to make time each and every day, if I can, to sit down and just watch a Christmas movie, because that puts me in the spirit of things as well. But it's also sort of like my way of sort of scheduling off some definite downtime that I'm going to sit down and enjoy something and just let myself be. And quite often I find during those times I get some of my greatest inspiration while I'm watching a gooey sort of Christmas movie, and everything always ends up beautiful and everybody falls in love and lives happily ever after. And that's wonderful. But some of my best inspiration comes in. So it might be something that you might want to try. We also have Venus, the planet of love and affection, is in Capricorn at the moment. Now, it's really interesting that Oh, I beg your pardon, it's Mercury in Capricorn. With Mercury in Capricorn, we've got communication is really going to be come to the forefront at the moment. We need to be very, very focused on how we're handling our communication. Everything needs to be very clear. Make sure you dot the I's, cross the T's, because when it's in Capricorn, it's an earth sign and it wants everything done the correct way, almost to the point of being like the school teacher with the red pen and saying, no, 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 you made a mistake there. Go back and correct it, is making a lovely aspect, which is known as a trine, which is a flowing aspect to Jupiter in Taurus. Now, Taurus is also an earth sign. It's the area that governs our finances, the things that we believe in, the things that are important to us. So, with Jupiter here, the planet of expansion, opportunity, and luck, is paving the way here for maybe some potentially some good luck coming our way. But when we look at it as being connected with or making a lovely flowing aspect from Mercury in Capricorn, it is the perfect time if you are looking to change your job or thinking about changing your job or thinking about changing your career. Now would be the perfect time to start that groundwork to make sure that your CV, your resume is up to speed. Is there anything else that you need to learn or upgrade to sort of give you better chances in the new year? It might be the time to just look on those job boards too, because you never know. There may be some companies that are looking to sort of get interviews and things like that done and dusted before the holiday season and have their new staff recruited ready to go at the beginning of the new year. So, it's the time to sort of really look at those things now. Now, Venus is definitely in Scorpio. I know I said it was in Capricorn of Indigo, but it's definitely in Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio is a nice placement for Venus, even though Venus likes to sort of be a little bit floaty and be in control of everything. Sitting in Scorpio being a fixed, rigid sort of energy and sometimes being known as being quite cold, Venus actually fits quite comfortably here because Venus is able to sort of come in and soften everything up. So it's a really nice placement for Venus. So anybody that's looking for love, no matter what star sign you are, maybe you've got to look in some unusual places. Maybe you've got to go to places that, even though it's the fun time of the year, there's a little bit of a serious note to it or a reason. You're going out, you're celebrating Christmas, maybe go out and celebrate Christmas in a way where you go to a fundraiser or do something that's great for the community or get involved in the community Christmas carols or the local school play. Whatever it might be, you'll find love in the most mysterious places, but it will somehow or another, I believe, be connected to something that's got a bit of depth to it, to something that where it's a purpose. You're not just going out and having fun for the sake of having fun. There's a label attached to it. We still have Pluto sitting in Capricorn, only going to be there for another couple of months at the very most. So make the most of while Pluto's trying to completely finish off the transformations, the changes that he's been working on since 2008. So we may see a fair bit of stuff in the news and in the media about politics and who's doing what and who's saying this and who's saying that, and really very amplified or exaggerated. So be aware of that. A lot of the stuff that you're going to read and see in the media over the coming couple of months might be very exaggerated. It might be somebody sort of trying to convince you that this is the right way to vote, or this is the right way to look at something as important as climate change or the conflict that's going on in the Middle East. We might start to see a little bit more of both sides of the argument. I'm not saying anyone's right and anyone's wrong. I'm saying somewhere in all of that is the truth. And that's what we have to look at. We need to sort of find what is our truth out of what's being shoved down our throats in all forms of media. And today with social media, things tend to sort of get exaggerated a fair bit. Things get pushed out of control, and not every thing needs to be the way that we're being spoon-fed to believe that it is. It's time to sort of really put your own cap on and say, hang on a minute, logically speaking, that doesn't feel right to me, or that doesn't sound right. I'm going to take notice of what they said, but I'm going to cut it in half, or I'm going to delay it down a little bit so that we can sort of be accepting that that's our truth and not necessarily the truth of what somebody's trying to share with us as a so-called expert. We have Neptune in Pisces still, and in the last 6 degrees of Pisces there. So Neptune feels very comfortable there. So it's a particularly creative feel this week to Neptune. So all our darling little creatives out there, this is the time to sort of give yourself that little bit of luxury to lock yourself in the studio and paint or create, or put some lyrics down to a song. Don't forget to take a pad and pen with you. I'm a little bit old fashioned, but I'm sure it's probably hard to type it on your cell phone when you get that, that line that's going to be the start of a new hit song, and, you're trying to type it with your thumbs and, you've got to auto correct it and spell check it and everything like that, where, pen and paper, you can still read your own writing no matter how terrible it is. So maybe it's time we got back to a few old fashioned virtues like that. I never leave home without a pen and paper because I find that it's just more convenient that you can jot something down really quickly and then you can lose a bit of paper and think what they do with that, but it's all part of the fun of it, isn't it? So whatever works for you, but it is a very creative time of the year. I hope everybody's got their Christmas carols going and singing loudly because it puts a beautiful positive magical energy throughout the world. It's not just uplifting us, it's uplifting other people around us, and it's putting an energy out there that if we collectively all do our little bit, and even if it's only you pay half a dozen Christmas carols between now and Christmas, it still puts that nice positive vibe throughout the world that I think we could do a lot more with than, sort of focusing on the negatives all the time. There's enough negative news to go around that let's turn it around this Christmas and make it a very positive time. We're going to talk with Onyx in Yorkton in Saskatchewan in Canada, and I know I've pronounced that wrong, and I do apologise. Are you there, Onyx? How can I help you, sweetie?
Hello. Hi,
Do
how
you
are
have a
you?
question? I'm very well, thank you, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you?
Mm, just whatever spirits, whatever comes through,
Okay, sure.
guidance
All right.
and guidance, get my gifts or new, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. That's fine. If you don't have a particular question, I always ask because we've got such limited time and I like to make sure we get to the
Mhm.
bottom of something that may be troubling you. The first thing that they were showing me is a time of endings, change, and transformations for you, Onyx. So, are you preparing to wrap up a few major things in your life and get ready to bring in some new areas in the early part of the new year?
Yes.
But they're
My
showing me
mother,
that,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, sweetie. Your mother?
My mother just passed, and
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
it's okay. She's been ill for a while.
Hmm.
And so I've been kind of work doing that. And I'm also
Hmm.
looking at opening up some new healing modalities and
Right.
avenues, business like going full time. So,
Okay. All right. Well, first things first. I mean, with your mother's passing, whether or not you were prepared for it or not, it's still a shock. It's still, there's still things we've got to process, work through, go through our belongings, all those sort of things. So that's probably why they were showing me the massive endings, changes, and transformations sitting around you. And the sort of like the new year was bringing in a new light, which is wonderful. And it's really interesting because I feel your mother's already gone through to the other side. It was sort of like she was here 1 minute and gone through to the other side and ready to help within seconds. And that's really very, very fast. So I can only take from that, even though she may not have wanted to leave you, she on a soul level was ready to go, like she'd done everything she needed to complete here on earth and it was just the right transitional time for her. So I hope that gives you some sort of comfort. It's really interesting because I feel with you sort of wanting to go full time more with your healing modalities. I'm not saying that that's not the right thing. I'm just going to say to you, don't sort of try and force it too quickly. It's a good idea, but I don't know that we need to be sort of heading towards that in the first 2 weeks of January. Let's sort of glide into this gently and easily and let it build in its own way, that then when it starts to take off, you're ready to take off with it. You're not there and all of a sudden you're overwhelmed by it. I want to see you slide into it. I want to see you glide into it. Is there some other form of healing that you've been looking at learning as well? Because I'm seeing something new coming up in the first 6 months of next year that you will add to what you already do. Is there something you've been contemplating doing, learning?
I am taking a plant medicine course.
Right.
With yeah, so um,
Good.
I've been working with psychedelic therapy. I'm a psilocybin practitioner. I've been doing it for
Hmm.
about 15 years underground,
Hmm.
and now just recently coming to the forefront and working through my community. And yeah, so
So will you be able to combine those two together to sort of create a new therapy, do you think?
That's yes, yes.
Yeah, because that's what I
I'm
was
a
seeing, was sort of like
sound.
bringing those 2 together.
Beautiful. I'm a sound therapist, alchemist as well. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but it was mainly those
Um,
2, working with the colour and working with the plants. It was sort of like a beautiful fusion together, that out of that is going to become sort of like a new healing modality that will eventually go around the world. So it's sort of like you're
mhm,
pioneering it. I mean, I don't want to show my ignorance here because I don't know a lot about the healing modalities, but I remember here in Australia when Reiki started to become popular, it was sort of like there were
mhm,
so many different strains or forms of it. And then all of a sudden it sort of settled into itself, but it's like it came from
mhm,
literally nowhere one minute and then all of a sudden it exploded. That's what I'm seeing here with what you're going to do. Your role will be obviously perfecting this and making it work and getting it into a course form that people can learn. But I think your role then will be training up people to then take your work on to train up other practitioners around the world. So it's going to be very exciting. Look, I see books, I can see videos, I can see teaching, I can see, that's why I said you've got to glide into this. That's what they were saying to me at the beginning. We can't do it all in one week. We've got to glide into it so that we get the
I've
proper
been.
momentum out of it all. Like it's once it starts to get traction, it's going to become very busy. And I want to make sure that you're comfortable with how fast it's going, that that you've dotted all your I's, crossed all your T's, made sure you've copyright or done whatever needs to be to protect your intellectual property with this, because that's going to be very important. I'm not saying someone else
Mm,
around the world mightn't have had similar ideas or be on a similar vein to you, because nothing is ever just exclusive for us. But your
mhm.
style of it, your method of it, I want to make sure that we have that as an exclusive thing, that then it's like your franchise to sell on, to share on.
Mhm. Mhm. It's funny that you mentioned that because I have a 30-day shadow journal that I
Hmm.
created, and it took me about a year and a half to create it. That's very
Hmm.
interesting that you said copyright. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
in
sort
the
of like I
process
want to
of
protect
doing
your
that right
work.
now.
Yeah, I want to protect your
Hmm.
work. It's not that I'm saying you've got to be greedy with it. I don't mean it in that way, but I want the world to know that the fusion of these 2 things, bringing these 2 things together and creating a third healing modality out of it is your baby, is your dream, was
Hmm.
your creation. It's something that you've brought in from past life knowledge, and I want you to get the recognition for it. Like where all the amazing work that Louise Hay did with, understanding your aches and pains in your body and things like that. She branded that. That's the person people go to. Heal Thyself by Louise Hay. Like they don't think of Mary Smith. And that's what I want this to be for you, Onyx. Anyway, sweetie, that's where I've got to leave it. We've only got limited time on the show. We're going to talk with Christine now in Santa Clarita in California. Are you there, Christine?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can, sweetie. What's your question I can answer for you today, Christine?
Um, well, basically, does anything come to you from spirit?
Yeah, it can do. It's just faster for me. If you have a question or something that's been troubling you, and that's why you phoned into the show, if you share that with me, then I can get you a really quick answer, other than just sort of saying I'll generally take whatever spirit wants to offer me. Because sometimes they have a little bit of a sense of humour and they'll go off on something that really has no great importance to you, other than they thought it was amusing. So that's why I always check. Um, the first thing that they are showing me is like 3 vertical lines to the left. So I'm taking from that, Christine, it's time now that you've got to start to bring in more of your own intuition. You've got to start listening to your own inner voice. Do you struggle with that? Do you?
Sometimes.
Yeah, well, I don't want you to struggle with it from here on in. I want you to sort of acknowledge it. Even if you don't agree with it, I want you to acknowledge it. The more you do that, the stronger it's going to get. And sometimes they like to give us sort of some things to keep us amused along the way that aren't necessarily are we meant to act on them, but it's just to make sure that we're paying attention. We're paying attention to the messages that are being shared. Did you just recently walk away from somebody that was very important to you?
I recently walked away from someone, but I don't think the person was important to me.
Okay, well, the reason I said important, because they showed me a heart that was sort of jagged, was like it was cut in two and it was jagged, and there was sort of the way they presented it to me was, well, maybe the other person thought it was important, you didn't so much, but they were sort of saying it was some sort of important thing. It was just sort of, they were pleased that you did it. I'm not saying they felt you made a mistake, but I think there's more to come out of that over time, that you'll realize the lessons that you learnt during the course of that relationship that you didn't think at the time was terribly important. There's lessons there to be taken from that. Not just the lesson of I won't fall into that.
Is this a man or a female?
I felt it was female. And I don't mean a love relationship.
Okay.
I'm talking about a friendship, a relationship. Somebody that you thought you could trust.
Oh, okay. So she's happy I walked away.
I don't know that she's happy that you walked away, but I think there's some major lessons to be learnt from this. It was sort of like, when it hit you, it really hit you at the whole picture. Up until then, it was sort of like you kept on, not so much ignoring it, but hoping, I think, for a different outcome might be the best way to put it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You gave her the benefit of the doubt too many times. And I'm not criticising you for that. And Spirit's not criticising you for that. They just want you to understand that what happened and the way that it played out exactly to the minute of how they wanted it to. Because there's so many layers to this and so many lessons to this that you will take over time and help other people with, and it's like you had to have the concentrated version of this that you couldn't miss anything, if that makes sense. Anyway, I want to leave that part there now. You know what all about that. 2024 is going to be a very eye-opening year in a very positive sort of way. There seems to be new opportunities. I'm potentially looking at either changing some things around where you're living or a move of residence around March. I'm also feeling that there's more work coming your way because there seems to be more money coming in where you're looking to change your job or sort of enhance what you're doing, because there's new opportunities coming up around that as well. And they're showing me the most ginormous big pink heart. So I'm assuming that if you're not in a relationship, there's one coming and it's going to be perfect, or as close as perfect as anything can be. But you've got certainly a very, very good year coming your way next year, Christine. And 2023 was a sort out year for you. It was where you had to sort of be decisive. It was like when something had to end or be completed, you had to get the knife and give it the chop. And you did that and you did it well. Have you been experiencing some very strong dreams recently, Christine?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did a race on Saturday, and 1/3 into the race, I was completely emptied. And I felt like as though somebody took my energy.
Right. Okay. Well, they may have taken your energy. I can't really sort of say yes or no to that. But, if that's what your instincts are telling you, then you've got to listen to that. If that's what your gut told you, then that's the right answer. But I'm getting some very strong dreams of a night. Now, it's sort of like one of those things that, if it's really strong and it disturbs you, get up and write down the headlines of it and then go back to sleep, because I want you to sort of try and elaborate on that in the morning and write the rest of the details down, because some of these dreams are going to seem confusing, but they're very powerful. But what they're doing is starting to help you see some of the key steps for the future, but they might be disguised. It might be you've got a pink cat with a purple bow. Well, there's no such thing as a pink cat and a purple bow, but the pink will mean something, the bow will mean something, and so will with the purple. So it's like sort of breaking it down into manageable pieces and then seeing where other things will fit in around that over time. But I know you're on the right path. I know you're getting stronger psychically by the day, and next year's going to be an amazing year for you. So I hope that sort of helped you understand, what's been going on and the reasons why that friendship had to come to an end, because it wasn't pleasant towards the end, was it? It was just, yeah, she certainly wasn't as she perceived to be, that's for sure. But anyway, Christine, you're on the right track now. So I hope that's helped you with where you need to be going for the future. It's really, really interesting. We've finished talking with Christine in California now, and I just want to sort of elaborate a little bit. A lot of people are going through loads and loads of changes around the world at the moment. People are sort of starting to find that they're dreaming and they don't normally dream. And why is this happening to me, Amanda? We all dream every night. It's a matter of being able to consciously remember them, and most of us don't. So we need to be aware of that. we need to sort of take a pen and pad to bed and sort of a flashlight of some kind and sort of just jot things down so that we can remember them. So it's, it's as we head into the holiday season, it's always a very, very busy time of the year. And this week, I want to pay respects to one of the world's greatest singer-songwriters who left us at a very tender age of 28. And I know a lot of people will know who I'm talking about. And it was a very sad time for the world. And he has the most popular grave on the planet, I think, that people go and visit in Paris. And I'm talking about Jim Morrison. His birthday is on the 8th this week. Lots of amazing people were born on the 8th, including my son. And I just think it's important that we pay homage to him. He did have a Christmas song out that I was going to leave you with, but when I went to YouTube, it was only promoting the song, which was called Light Up My Christmas. So, if you can find a version of that, you're better than I am. So this week I'm going to leave you with one of my ultimate favourite Christmas carols from somebody that I feature quite often on the show, and he's no longer with us either. I'm sure the two of them have crossed paths in heaven, making some rock and roll magic together, along with a few other people I can think of up there, John Lennon and a few others, and George Harrison, to just name a few, is David Cassidy's beautiful Christmas song called My Christmas Card to You. It's probably one of my favourite carols. It's not a well-known carol. It's back from the days of the Partridge Family, but it's got the most beautiful words. And I think it sort of epitomises what Christmas is really about, that, should be about the joy, about sharing time with loved ones, not necessarily about the presents, but about getting together and being kind and peace on earth and really looking out for our fellow man. I mean, look, there's just so many beautiful Christmas carols that have been written over the years, and there's so many to play, and so many, everybody's done a version of something or other, from Mariah Carey through to John Lennon, Don't They Know It's Christmas. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. And no matter who you like or what sort of Christmas carol you like, I mean, I think it's the time to get them out, put them on your device, sing loudly. None of us have got beautiful voices, but it doesn't matter at Christmas, as long as we get the magic out there and we share the magic and uplift the energy around the world. Just maybe we can stop this conflict over in the Middle East there, that, that they could have something to look forward to at this very holy and very special time of the year. So until next week, enjoy David Cassidy with My Christmas Card to You. And if you can find Light Up My Christmas by Jim Morrison, you're a better person than I am, and I know he would have done a beautiful version of that. It's actually to Riders on the Storm, but he just changed some of the words, but it's a beautiful rendition. But I only got to see the first couple of sentences of that song. So until next week, bye for now.